Most people will tell you that the mission of a university is to teach students, conduct research, and contribute through service to a global community. Well, that's very true, but I have another definition that I think fits a little better, and that is what we're about, and especially in student affairs, is changing people's lives. And the staff in student affairs know that I'm always asking, how is this activity, how is this program, how is this service, how is what you're doing making a difference in student lives? Well, today we get to honor some of those people that made a difference while they were here as students and have continued to do that after they graduated in their service to the community, in the work that they do, and we're very glad that they are with us today and to honor them.
I never want you to forget to always embrace the past of this great university. Always embrace the past of this great university. Continue to work hard, excel, and enjoy the present. And all of you, regardless of whether you're a student now, an alum, whether you're a retiree, continue to reach for the stars. But above all, congratulations to our Year 2 inductees, Jim Bennett and Tom Ponce and Elgie Sims, Representative Sims. To each of you, as well as to members of your family and your friends here today, and I know that you're well represented, congratulations on this wonderful honor that you are about to receive.
First, I'd like to thank the committee for my induction to the Steve and Sandi Adams at Legacy Hall of Fame. It is an honor to stand beside such accomplished Redbirds and valued alumni. I would like to thank those who made this incredible honor happen. To Aaron Pierce, who organized the nomination effort and contacted my colleagues to write letters on my behalf. Aaron, wherever you are, there you are. Aaron, you were such an amazing advisor for me, but you were an even better friend. To the authors of the letters of nomination, your kind words were appreciated, but your actions have been incredible. In what has become the most challenging year in my life, I cannot express enough the gratitude I have for friends like you. I would like to congratulate my fellow honorees for the work that they have done and continue to do in the communities they serve. It is an honor to be associated with such a fine group of people. Thank you especially to my mom and dad for all the support of a fifth-year senior and a space camp graduate. Your lessons on the importance of education, responsibility, and service have stayed with me and will always stay with me. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish, much less afford, to come to this great school. I love you both. I came to Illinois State a very confused sense of purpose. My initial plans were to become the next Indiana Jones, but a strong case of arachnophobia and the harsh reality of Hollywood archaeology killed that dream before I discovered my new dream, to become a teacher. In high school, I'd been extremely involved, so much so that my best friend's father thought I'd pulled a prank and photoshopped myself into the yearbook over and over. I decided college would be a good time to take a break, take a step back, and focus on my studies. But opportunity is the father of change. I learned about the service and leadership floor at the residential life and became more committed to student life. Joining more extracurriculars, I created a double life. One as a student and another as a student leader. My schedule involved classes, meetings, and service projects. My friends became other student leaders, some of whom I have the privilege of calling my closest friends. I think if I hadn't joined the service and leadership floor, I don't think my life would have been the same. I wouldn't have run for residential government president. I wouldn't have helped lead a trip to Memphis about civil rights. I definitely wouldn't have had to chase down a golf cart during ISU's move-in. I can still remember late nights with other students problem solving, talking solutions, and exporting hope. I valued getting the opportunity to represent ISU for conferences in DC and among other colleges and universities in the nation. This school has been transformational for me and for many students. My time at Illinois State was truly shaped from my experiences in student life, from residential government to alternative spring break. I don't believe I would be the leader I am now had it not been for the lessons I learned in and outside the classroom here at Illinois State. The character lessons, successes, and failures created someone who believes in the power of servant leadership, collaboration, and grit. It is something I continue to try and instill in my own students. Mboka Luambwe was one of those teachers who taught me the tradition, for the sake of tradition, is not good enough. His role as my own Socrates helped me to question my own stance on policy and leadership decisions. He made me a better leader and a better man. His door was always open to me, and I'll always remember him and me shutting down a crepes restaurant during the National Conference for Residential Government in San Francisco. I don't think we're allowed there anymore. But I always remember how much I changed for the better because of him, how to take a loss in stride, and how to accept a victory as my own. Thank you, Mboka. ISU is more than the classrooms, more than the academic endeavors, the degrees, and the internships. It's the people here that put so much trust and hope into the students that enter this campus. The trust that we can be stewards of our own campus and leaders among our peers, in our state, and in our nation. I learned here you didn't have to be an action hero to make a difference. I learned that communities can make a greater impact when they collaborate. In closing, I would like to thank the staff here at Illinois State for the amazing work they do in cultivating student leaders and allowing them room to grow their own leadership and, yes, make their own mistakes. My time here gave me a chance to develop my own leadership philosophy, pushed me to help in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, to march to take back the night. And if it wasn't for these opportunities to grow, there's little chance I would have joined Teach for America, stuck it out, and helped to start a charter school, or looking to make a bigger impact in educational policy. Thank you, Steve Adams, not just for your leadership you provided Student Affairs, but for the staff of Student Affairs, who push students every day to develop their sense of identity and self. Thank you.
First, let me say thank you to all of you for being here. This is a tremendous honor, and being able to see this award, but also to be here with these wonderful honorees, and each one of you is a tremendous honor for me. You know, I was told I've got 5 minutes to speak, and my wife tells me it takes me 5 minutes to clear my throat. But I'll attempt to adhere to the rules of engagement. I want to thank one of my colleagues who's joined us, the state representative from this area, my good friend Dan Brady, for being here. Please recognize Dan for us. But I've got to say a few thank yous to some of the people in this room, mainly because I can't go home if I don't. Let me start with thanking my lovely wife, who's here with us. We started our relationship here on this campus. We fell in love right here, and we made a beautiful life together. And I appreciate you for all your love and support, and for always keeping me grounded. She always says to me, you can be representative out there. In here, you're just Elgie. Now get that trash out. So she always keeps me grounded. But I also have to thank my two beautiful daughters who are with me, Kennedy and Mackenzie. Now I know at least one of them is disappointed to be missing school today. But I want both of you to know how much you mean to me. You're the lights of my life and the two best parts of me. I've also got to thank the two people who are responsible for me being here, my parents, my mom, who always reminds me that, but for me, you could do nothing. I'm the reason for it all. So, my mom, my dad, who taught us as children that to whom much is given, much is required, and they instilled in us the value of hard work, the value of service, giving back, and doing more. And I appreciate and will always thank you for instilling that in us. Rick Lewis, I don't see Rick. Rick was the driving force behind pulling this together to get me here today. He pulled together the recommendations. He sent out the clandestine communications to folks around to say we're going to make this happen. So I thank Rick for his leadership and for making this happen, and for also my sister from another mother, Lorraine Mohammed, who was also one of the individuals who wrote a letter on my behalf, talking about some of the things that we've done. And Lorraine, I want you to know how much I appreciate you, your words of encouragement, your sage advice and counsel over the years, and thank you so much for all you've done. But I've also got to thank some young men who are in this building, who are keeping up the tradition of the chapter that I love so dearly, and that is the Eta Tau chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha. These young men over here are stewards of that legacy, and I want you to know that you are keeping up the legacy of servant leadership to this community, and I appreciate all that you've done to make sure that the traditions of Eta Tau continue, and they continue moving this university forward. So thank you for doing that. To all of the faculty and staff, my good friend President Deason, First Lady Deason, their absence, Vice President Patterson, and the entire Student Affairs team, this is a tremendous, tremendous honor, and I am so grateful to be here. But I could not stand here without thanking the individuals that this award is named for. Steve and Sandi Adams. You have meant so much to this university. I don't think you understand just how much you've meant to this university. We thank you for your tireless dedication and your unwavering commitment to the students of the Illinois State community. Please, that's it. Your legacy ensures that if students follow the lessons that are here, they're taught here in this university, and they take full advantage of those lessons, they're going to go out and make a positive impact on the world. They have no choice. And I thank you for establishing that legacy. To my fellow honorees, I am Tom, Jim. I'm completely honored to be going to experience this induction with you. The work that you are doing to make the world a better place is a testament to the lessons that we've all learned here. And I want to say congratulations to both of you. As I was sitting there in my seat and looking at our university seal, I thought about those words, gladly we learn and teach. To some, those are platitudes, words to fill up space on that logo. But to us, we know it's much more than that. It's a call to arms for each student and each person who touches the Illinois State community to go out and make a positive impact on the world, to make sure that we leave the world better than we found it. We understand that in order for us to be better, we have to engage. If you look at the three of us, there is a common theme. Each one of us is an advocate, whether it's for students in New Mexico, whether it's fighting for marriage equality, or whether it's working for working families in the Illinois House of Representatives. We advocate. And those are the lessons that we learned right here on this campus. We learned that we have a responsibility to do more. We have a responsibility to give back. We have a responsibility to leave the world better than we found it. You know, my grandfather, he said it a different way. He said that the things that you do for yourself, they die when you die. The things that you do for others, that is your legacy, because that lives on. It is a result of those lessons that we are able to go out and make a positive impact on the communities that we serve. And that's why I am so honored to be here with you. Now, as I prepare to take my seat, I want to leave a few words with you from renowned civil rights leader and man of Alpha Phi Alpha, Dr. Martin Luther King. He said, human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step towards the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. Our communities, whether they're Normal, Illinois, the South Side of Chicago, or Albuquerque, New Mexico, expect nothing less from our time, energy, and talents. You know, after all, we are Illinois State, where the good become great and the great become outstanding. I want you to know how much I am truly honored to be here, and how much I would ask all of us to live by those words. Gladly we learn and teach. Thank you so much.
I realized when Elgie was talking that I'm the old alumnus, because when I was here, the motto was, and gladly would he learn and gladly teach, from Canterbury Tales. It was a controversy when they shortened it. Thank you, Vice President Patterson, and I also want to thank Steve and Sandi Adams. It's been wonderful meeting you, and especially for creating this Hall of Fame within the Division of Student Affairs. I assure you that I would not be in a Hall of Fame if it was based on my academic record alone. And I never allowed a class or a test to get in the way of an important student affairs meeting. I want to thank Mike Shermer, who I believe was somewhat behind this Hall of Fame and was a friend of mine both on campus and throughout my life. I want to acknowledge my husband, Terry, and it's so new it's almost awkward to say the word husband. We're sort of training ourselves. But he's wonderful, he's super smart, and he's also the foremost scientist on sudden death cardiac arrest. So I just wanted to get that out there. And then there's a couple people here just because I was involved in the marriage fight, and it was so recent that I feel like I need to recognize Dave Bentlin, who many of you know over here, is a true leader. He helped us recruit our plaintiffs for the Illinois marriage case. He really worked hard in winning hearts and minds in central Illinois, and just fantastic work. And then, of course, Representative Sims, who we tormented, and he was a strong voice on our side. His understanding of families and caring about families extended immediately to our work, and worked hard with his colleagues to tell that story. And so I thank you for your votes, because it would not have happened otherwise, without question. And I want to thank Matt Riley, who's been my student host, who I find to be a really courageous and extraordinary young man who lives a very authentic life. And to be honest with you, I did not lead that extraordinary, authentic life when I was here. I was closeted, and it made me very afraid to even think that I could be gay or out. And so it's wonderful to see you here and the work you're doing. And the thing that was so odd about being closeted at Illinois State was I was on this incredible path with student affairs, which was so much about not only the development of the students around us, but ourselves, and really leading our full lives. And I was lucky enough to have these three mentors, all of which are no longer here, and one has moved on even further, that had profound impact on my life. And I just wanted to tell a little bit about each of them. The first was Trish Williams, my hall coordinator when I was first in RA. She was doing her thesis on the Myers-Briggs, real world of Myers-Briggs, such a shock for student affairs. And she had studied under Isabel Briggs, and the RAs were her lab. And I am not just an ENFP, but I was the perfect ENFP because I was all extrovert, all intuitive, all perceptive, and Trish was an ESTJ. So we had a lot of issues, and she had really taught me to understand that my intuition was this tool, a real tool that I could use to make decisions, and it could guide me, but I should in no way expect it to influence others. It wasn't enough just to tell her that I knew I was right. And she taught me how to make my case and find the facts and find the ways to tell my story. The second was an amazing woman named Geneva Walker Johnson, who held some important job in the Office of Residential Life, as we called it at the time, and was my advisor to ARH. And she and Trish were very close friends. They were both African American women, and they had been part of the civil rights struggle in the 60s, and they had dedicated their lives to racial justice, and both had broken many glass ceilings, both before they came here and while they were here. She was extraordinarily patient with me. I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, and I really did not have any understanding of the issues of race and the responsibility I had in my role as a student leader to be inclusive, and my role as a white man, and the privilege I had to be able to focus on racial justice. And it's been part of my life ever since. I didn't even know I get emotional. I don't know what I would have done without them. And third was Jude Boyer. And I don't know how many people know Jude that were here, but it is almost impossible to adequately describe her, although my friend Dan Wagner and I do amazing impersonations of her. And in fact, everyone I know that knows Jude does an amazing imitation of her. But she had taught me very practical lessons. And so when you would go into her office, it was the absolute best time. You just look forward to it for so much. And some of it was just as simple as the how-tos of working through committees, or that if you're gathering information at cocktail parties, you needed to write it down right after it was over because you weren't going to remember anything the next morning. But the biggest lesson that she had taught me was to make sure that everyone was at the table when you were doing your work. And we would have, very messy meetings, setting fees and the room and board committee meetings and things like that. And she believed that if you had everyone there that had a stake in the issue, and especially those that disagreed with you, especially those that had opposing views, if you could get through that process and have an outcome, the outcome would be impossible to question once you were done. And so you were able to move forward with incredible confidence. Of all the achievements I'm most proud of to have been a part of in my experiences since Illinois State, as well as when I was here, I have to say that student affairs provided the foundation for the role that I've been able to play. I'm sure academics had some part of it, but I just don't remember. I only remember this stuff from here. The fight for freedom to marry in Illinois provided a very good example, because when we first began, and I'm confident Representative Sims could tell this story better than myself, but we had a supermajority, and we had just made this decision that we could easily pass the bill in this very insider's approach with some well-paid lobbyists, and it didn't go so well. And we had a setback. We didn't get a vote in May at the end of the session, and we had to take a step back, and there was a recognition that certainly I had, and many of us did, that we didn't have everyone at the table, that we hadn't included people. We didn't recognize the cultures of the state of Illinois and how this state functions and works. And so we restarted, and we went back and we pulled everyone together. And we also recognized that for the LGBT community, we are at a place where we're at the inside, and we're sitting and we're working with our reps and senators to make decisions, but we're still also on the outside, and we still have to protest, and we still have to fight for our rights. And as messy as it was, what we learned was when we listened to others and really listened, and when we respected where people were coming from, especially the people that were not on our side, we could advance, and ultimately we did, and our success was unstoppable. And Illinois should be congratulated, because in addition to passing it legislatively, which is always sweet when the people do it, it also, in Illinois, is one of only 2 states in the country that passed it legislatively that made no compromises in that bill, that we did not give up any rights in terms of existing protections for women or minorities or the LGBT community in passing it. And so it's a victory that all of us share. Let me see where I'm at. Although there's times that I wish I could go back and learn to be more authentic when I was here, I wouldn't, mainly because I spent a lot of time with Mike Shermer watching Star Trek, and I know what happens when you mess with the time-space continuum. It is extraordinarily messy if you change the past, but also because even in the time of me when I was here and I had self-doubt, Illinois State met me where I was and allowed me to really find my path. And so I thank all of you. Thanks.